No, we're not in a simulation. This is real life. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to my channel, where today we will be discussing the topic of thin privilege. Proudly brought to you by BuzzFeed's less well-known cousin, but no less awful, BBC Sesh. I posted an article about this exact topic about a month ago, thinking that it was just something that overweight feminists scream about because what don't they scream about? But apparently, it's actually a thing. And obviously, having thin privilege myself, I'm obviously very well equipped to discuss this topic. So let's jump in. Before I actually show you guys this video, I just want to qualify what thin privilege apparently is, although I'm sure you can guess. The thin in thin privilege is not about being supermodel skinny, but being at a weight that means you are not subjected to judgment and harassment from strangers. It means that you can go into almost any clothes store and find something that will fit. You can eat a hamburger in public without people clearly judging your decision. You can wear something figure-hugging without people sniggering at you. What even is going on? I guess that's just a few examples of what it's like to be healthy. With that in mind, let's roll the video.
Thin privilege. Now, it's not a mythical creature or something made up.
To be fair though, I would say that this term is actually entirely made up. It's not too dissimilar to things like white privilege and male privilege, which are also made up. But continue, my friend. Dazzle me.
You're thin, you have a certain privilege. So everyday tasks that a thinner person can take for granted, they can leave a plus-size person like myself feel full of anxiety, burden and upset and feelings that they don't belong and don't deserve a place in here.
So firstly, I would not describe this girl as plus size. I think that that has become this term that people like to employ when it actually doesn't apply to them. She, at least in my opinion, is overweight.
With all the pictures and the interview, do you, as the editor of Cosmo, even infer that this may not be a good weight to be? That this actually might be morbid obesity? And in Britain right now, we have the worst incidence of obesity in Europe by miles. We are a fat and ever-fattening country. And here are you, as an editor of a very popular magazine, telling women it's fine to be 300 pounds. I don't get it.
I genuinely hate how people employ the terms curvy and thick and plus size to girls who are genuinely overweight. If you just go and look at companies' websites and Instagram pages like Fashion Nova and other similar brands, they like to use girls who are genuinely overweight and then describe them as curvy. It drives me absolutely mad.
I've lost 12 stone 4 pounds. You should be encouraged to come out and be sporty and get moving. I get what you're trying to do, but the mental health thing is, where you would not put somebody on the front with a bottle of vodka, an alcoholic, or somebody with drugs, embracing drugs.
Not the same.
It is.
Let me just say from the outset, there are women on this planet who have really beautiful body types who are curvy or thick, as the term goes. But these are women who still eat well, they still look after their bodies, they go to the gym. It just so happens that they might have a bigger butt or bigger thighs or an actual chest on them, which some of us can't relate to. Because I am a beanpole with eyes and hair. Can't relate. Calling yourself plus size might make yourself feel better in the long run, but really what this video is trying to say is being overweight in particular situations makes me feel bad about myself because I'm overweight.
So, public transport. What a nightmare for plus-size people. Just think, can you sit in a seat and not be met with sighs, huffing, puffing, and someone squirming in the seat next to you, making you feel uncomfortable and knowing that they don't want you there?
I mean, to be fair, there are lots of people who other people don't want on public transport. Like drug addicts and crazy people. The reason, at least I believe, that people react like that on public transport to someone who is overweight is because you take up extra room.
I want to lose 3 pounds.
And I would say that your average passenger is probably resentful of that. In the same way that they're resentful of the idiot sitting at the back of the carriage playing music from their phone without headphones in, or the person who is talking really loudly on their phone. Stop that. Especially on super crowded trains and trams and buses, it's pretty understandable how someone might get bent out of shape because you're encroaching upon their space. Just to be clear here, I am not talking about the super sweet, self-aware overweight people. Those are not the people I'm referring to here.
Shopping, can you go into 99.9% of the high street and shop, try on, and take an outfit away that very same day and not actually being able to go and enjoy the experience of shopping?
Girl, do you know what it's like to be 5'11" and skinny? Well, obviously no, but you know, if you did, then you would know that I have the same struggles as you do.
This goes with your skin tone. Somebody throw Shamu back in the ocean. Wow. Okay. Let me get you something else.
I'm just not really seeing the thin privilege in any of this because basically every woman I know who goes shopping hates shopping because they can't find anything that fits them. This is not a skinny or overweight thing. This is the clothing industry doesn't make clothes for human beings thing. Can I find pants that don't smash me in the ankle? No. Can I find dresses that don't fly up and show everyone my butt when I walk places? No. This may come as a shock to you, my friend, but you're not special. This is not a thin privilege thing. Let me just make that abundantly clear to you as a skinny person. It's very, very, very hard to find clothes. The end. I know this from experience because when I was doing my undergraduate degree, because I didn't want to be poor, I worked in fashion retail. And let me tell you now, for a fact, 90% of women would walk out of the fitting room feeling depressed no matter what body shape they had. Because clothing shopping is depressing.
Squeeze those cheeks, sister.
But even so, if you do want a few more options when you go clothes shopping, there is a fairly simple solution to that problem that comes in the form of losing weight.
Grabbing something to eat, just think, can you pop into a bakery, pick up a donut and sit there and then enjoy it and not feel that you've been met with stares or comment, I cannot do that?
Maybe we actually are in a simulation. That donut is excessive. And maybe that's the problem. Good Lord. I would say that the bulk of people probably don't notice when someone else is like smashing down a burger or some sort of tasty, delicious treat, because the bulk of people don't actually care about what you're doing in public. But it's not the fault of thin privilege that people might sit there and stare or make comments when you're sitting there chowing down on something that is probably the definition of cholesterol in a circle shape. In the event that someone is actually giving you a dirty look because you're shoveling a donut into your mouth, it's more than likely because they're looking at you thinking, eating that kind of food is why that person is overweight. No one's gonna sit there and look at you if you're eating a banana or like celery sticks and hummus or whatever.
You sure can't put it away.
Besides the handful of people who gain weight as a result of actual illnesses such as hyperthyroidism or Cushing's disease or even some cancer treatments that cause you to gain weight, the bulk of overweight and fat people look the way they do as a result of bad diet, bad choices, and bad lifestyle choices. The other side of this that people don't seem to realize is that when you are a skinny person who's eating a hamburger, people feel a need to like high-five you for getting some nutrition in you because they assume that you just don't eat. I guess that's thin privilege for ya.
Going to the doctors, are you able to go and be seen and diagnose what is actually wrong with you, or the appointment turned into a weigh-in session?
Does this actually happen where you go to the doctor and they're like, get on the scale?
To be honest, I actually avoid going to the doctors now just because I don't feel like I'm taken seriously. Just because someone's smaller, just in the same way as someone's bigger, there's no way that you could diagnose someone's health just by looking at them.
If you're going to the doctor, just by the way, and your doctor isn't taking seriously the reason that you went to the doctor in the first place, you probably need a new doctor. Then again, the NHS in the United Kingdom is pretty terrible, so...
Everything looks good. Your face is close to my face.
To be fair, yes, no one can definitively diagnose you just by looking at you. I acknowledge that. If we could probably get a lot of liberals into psychiatric care. However, it's pretty common knowledge that if you are overweight, you will be more at risk of particular serious health problems than someone who is thinner. You will run the risk of having type 2 diabetes, liver issues, heart issues, kidney issues, and so on and so forth. Just to throw this in there as well, 87% of people who have type 2 diabetes are overweight or obese. What fun! All that thin privilege just protects me from having serious disease. So yeah, it's not a thin privilege thing, it's that people get a pretty fair idea of the health issues that you might potentially have based on looking at you. They're just more obvious than with a skinny person. I'm obviously a doctor, and them's the facts.
You wouldn't go up to a thin person or comment on pictures listing off all the health problems that they may or may not have. Yet again, another privilege. So I can put a picture up on Instagram and I'm listed with everything that's wrong with me. Of course, none of it is true because nothing's wrong with me.
Girl, I am willing to bet you have at least one undiagnosed health problem.
Whatever. I'm getting cheese fries.
I genuinely believe this whole concept too is complete rubbish because since the whole body shaming, body positivity thing came out, women are pretty supportive of each other on the internet. If anything, it's the skinny girls who get told to eat more and get called anorexic. This attitude is why women like Tess Holliday, who very clearly is severely overweight, is now considered a model and a role model.
Before you roll your eyes at the idea of thin privilege, just try putting yourself in someone else's shoes and just looking at it from their point of view, how it could affect them or how it could make them feel. We're not having to go at thin people at all, but just simply acknowledging there is the privilege that society has unfortunately put on people who are thinner, just to combat it, just acknowledge it, be accepting of anybody of any size, and don't fall into what society and the media are trying to tell us that are right or wrong. There are bigger people in the world, there are smaller people in the world, celebrating everybody's differences, everybody being kind to one another regardless of your size.
I mean, like, maybe, but also probably nope. Okay, so being accepting of any size is the problem. Because in my opinion, it excuses the people who continue to self-harm in the way of overeating. Yes, there are, of course, a bunch of different body types. In fact, the whole fashion industry is very poorly built around them. But if we're honest, let's look at women like J-Lo or Beyonce who are what you would describe as curvy, but it's also very clear that they're fit women who actually look after themselves. That is what I would describe as thick or curvy. People who actually have curves. These women make gazillions of dollars and have cult followings. Do they have curvy girl privilege?
Thank you, Lord Jesus.
So the next time someone uses the term thin privilege, and let me just translate that, what thin privilege actually means is, I hate myself and the way that I look, so let me just excuse my corrosive behavior by saying that I have it harder. But anyway, let's put that aside for a second. Next time someone uses this term, let me just remind you of the very fun statistics that relate to obesity in the world. Worldwide obesity has nearly tripled since 1975. In 2016, more than 1.9 billion adults 18 years or older were overweight. Of these, over 650 million were obese. 39% of adults aged 18 and over were overweight in 2016, and 13% were obese. Most of the world's population live in countries where overweight and obesity kills more people than underweight. 41 million children under the age of 5 were overweight or obese in 2016. Over 340 million children and adolescents aged 5 to 19 were overweight or obese in 2016. Obesity is preventable. So I guess that I get really mad when people use terms like thin privilege or suggest that people who are skinny and healthy haven't had to ever undergo anything difficult because the way that they look means that they're treated a particular way. My life might be observationally easier because I actually take the time and make the choices to eat better, go to the gym, make choices that relate to my actual health so I don't put myself at risk.
I can't go to Taco Bell. I'm on an all-carb diet. God, Karen, you are so stupid.
I hate these body positivity movements, not because they encourage people to feel comfortable in their skin, but because they coin these stupid terms and then excuse corrosive bad behavior and blame it on everyone else. It's not cool. I'll say from experience that I have definitely been called a lot of choice names based on the way that I look, because I am what you would call pretty skinny. And I have had people throw food at me, tell me to eat cheeseburgers, and that sort of stuff is equally as insulting and nasty as just going up to someone and calling them fat and then slapping the cheeseburger out of their mouth. I think objectively it's way easier to sit here and be like, thin people have it easier because they're thin, but the reality is that you just don't know how hard anyone else has it. There is nothing privileged about actually taking care of your body. As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so, just don't be rude about it, and I will see you guys next time.